Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. This is Venus. It's Venus Day, Venus Hour, and Ascendant on Spica. So Venus Spica. And let's welcome Spica. Spica is basically a fixed star that's associated with justice in trade and justice in general. So it's about fairness. For natives, they do usually experience injustice before they experience justice, because it's about you winning in the court system. You have to get there somewhere. But it's also good for trade, for eloquence, for expressing yourself well. And Venus Day, Venus Hour, and Venus is ruling over Beta Persei, where Uranus is at. And so I actually woke up today to a post by Lakshmi, which is luck, the way we write luck in English, and Lakshmi on Twitter. And she was talking about the Ashwini Nakshatra, and then I saw another person talking about the 10th house. And if you have Sun in the 10th house, you need to be self-employed. I have Uranus in the 10th house. And so for those of you who have 10th house Taurus, Uranus is going through your 10th. This is where there is some sort of rebellion, or you created some sort of rebellion. That's been on since 2018 actually. And my teaching is actually about this type of 10th house, okay, this type of career. My Navamsha has Taurus in the 10th with Moon there, and that would mean Uranus is going through it tropically. So when you have Uranus in the 10th, when your Taurus house is in the 10th, this is where it's not only that you are, it's like either you are the boss or you are rebelling the boss, okay? But if you are the boss, they could be rebelling you. I was just recalling how I was doing channeling experiment and basically trying to recruit me to MK Ultra, okay? So they're doing all the shocks and the mind control and rapes, unfortunately. So do it from afar, it's not only physical. And they're practicing to kidnap before 7th October. And then I was just thinking about how it all went, which is horrid. I rebelled. I called for revolution of the spies because I understood how to recruit spies. And I exposed everything that yields the wrong information, because if you torture people, they don't give you right information. I exposed the good science that we have, okay, that we don't have to torture people to get good information from them. And I exposed for what to do with the sexpionage, okay, and why information is correct, because will and consent, okay, it yields good sexual energy and yields truth, but if you violate will and consent, not going to work, okay. And basically for what I did is just like, they tried to recruit me to be spy, so I rebelled my workplace. This is what happened, okay? And so it's not only I rebelled at being a spy, because some things are interesting, okay? It took me, when I was channeling, I was traveling, and you see, and I think I'm channeling, okay? Because I'm trying to experiment. And I go from, I think it was Schiphol, go from, during COVID, okay? Departures, arrivals, departures, seeing that all this pandemic thing is basically bogus. For all these things, and like, yes, you do run into interesting information, but you're not going to yield true information. You're not going to have the true story when sexual energy is not, okay, in good shape. And so, and if they try to hypnotize the people to will and consent, it's like, it's not this. You're gonna rebel that, and then you see whose job is to be groomer, whose job is to do this, whose job is to do that, because it's in the astral. And then for what I did was just expose the way that they do sexpionage, and expose the project of expandable children tended to political assassination prevention, and basically I revolutionized the entire science of how we do espionage. But I'd never I was never like intending to be it. I was just trying to channel, but they were doing all this weird shit. Um, and in that way, but basically, this is what Uranus does in the 10th house. Okay, 10th house is your career. Even if they try to force you to have certain career, you revolutionize for the science of how it's done. You revolutionize, like, hey, if our entire political system is expandable children that were tortured, of course, for the decision makers, rarely loving. But then you will expose that thing. You will rebel that thing. Because as you ask to yourself, okay, why did I not, agree to be this? I don't know what they wanted me to be. But because what happens if I see everything is done wrong? And I don't see how it's in benefit for myself or humanity, and I'm required to just blindly trust something, then I question even for my own channeling, right? The question for my own channeling, I'm like, well, this needs to work for me. Even if it's channeling, it needs to work for me. I can give it a shot, but then it needs to work for me. And then reach for what works and what doesn't, and how it's connected to our sciences, to our mental health system, just all these things, and then I expose them. Okay, so people, and how even the person you rent the apartment to, that they would be a spy. So they try to make it so that that people are afraid to talk. But for me, it's like the other way around. I break through, but everything. For example, if a mind macler try to put his energy in me, this is fine for follow me, and then I go with my mama to the apartment to take something, and then he comes with the car. And I know he's been following because I felt the energy. So eventually I sick of it, because it's like somebody's monitoring for your energy. So I write on Facebook, this person is a spy. Okay? And and I told him, if you will be okay in spirit and in matter, respected for my boundaries, there's no problem. Yeah, I move the money around, but I give you a chance to change. But if he basically exposed that he is a spy. So this is where Uranus is, where somebody tries to boss you, you go the other way around, you rebel. And so this is what Uranus does in 10th house. I have natural Uranus in 10th house in Sagittarius, but now it's transiting when I have Navamsha, Taurus, 10th house tropical. Uranus is transiting. And so this is Uranus in the 10th house is also where you get the boot upstairs. Okay? Somebody dumps you, somebody throws you, somebody fires you, and then you get the boot upstairs. We can basically do something that is even more important. Opposition in society that's even higher. So that is, for example, I got, it's not I got, for the academia, they didn't kick me out, but I couldn't stay there for the masonry. Then I did astrology. It's like, they're all masons. And then I used the Tema Mundi to expose the things were not correct, so we can have the rebellion of the lodges. And then I did mundane astrology, and then they tried to kick me out of astrology. So what happens? They try to recruit me for MK Ultra. And as I say, okay, let's turn to political assassination prevention, because it's like the same way as women that go out of violence and, are threatened by the husband, or men that get divorced and don't have a place to be. So I ran into the Expandable Children Project, and then I say there's how to train the children to basically be espionage. And all these things are just exposed to me as I go about my path. So all the ways in which people try to give me the boot, I get the boot upstairs. Okay? This is what Uranus in the 10th house does. It's the job of the rebel, and it is such rebel that when they even try to recruit you to make revolution, you rebel for the way they make revolution. Okay? They try to recruit you to be a spy. And for me, it's not like somebody told me something. I was channeling, and then you receive such and such information and so on. And they have their, they apply to fear, they apply to this, they apply to that. And then you see what do they have to tell? Who am I channeling? And take your power back. So that is, and then you expose the things, right? Because Uranus is a scientific advancement. So this is where people that do disrespect, with Taurus particularly, you wouldn't consent. With Sagittarius, your sense of optimism and expansion. Okay, if I feel I have no place to expand to from this position, then I ruin the fucking mountain. Okay, I do something. I won't be able, okay, to sit still. This wife put me in hospital. I begin to tell everyone, do you know you have rights? You have rights. You can go study. You can go this. You can do. You know you're supposed to live independently. In housing, your housing is supposed to be independently. But then I exposed to corruption with housing. I say, okay, do you know that all the people that have housing are all spies because otherwise they could not have real estate? Do you know they're all recruited? So we need to have a rebellion of how to treat spies. Like, hey, you want us to be spies? Okay, then we have to change for the way you treat a labor revolution. This is Uranus, guys. This is Uranus. Uranus will not come from the place of, hey, I will not be spy, I will not be this, I will not be that. It's like, hey, how do you treat me? If you treat me bad, then information is incorrect. Expose it to the people. Because it's supposed to be about protecting of world peace. Espionage is supposed to be in favor of protecting world peace. Is to make sure if one country wants to go to war with another country, then you expose this. If one country wants to make world war or enslave people, then you expose this. This is what intelligence is supposed to be about. If it's not about this, then it needs to change. Okay? It's just so. This is what Uranus in the 10th house does. And anybody that tries to be your boss, you rebel them. But if you're your own boss, you rebel yourself as well. Because you would change your position. You would see, okay, for example, if I take my rebellion and I talk to people that are in risk because of the drugs that they give them in mental health, and say, housing first is solution. I believe in you is solution. You should be in your independent housing. If they want to, okay, because some people prefer not, but some people, they wouldn't even inform that they have this and that rights. And then I see what in the private sector, the maklers, the real estate agents are spies. So I said, okay, this is danger to tenants, so I have to expose that. And it's also they very likely didn't choose to be in this position, so now expose that. Okay, so you basically rebel even yourself. Because if I say, oh, everyone has to be living in a house, okay, but there's problem with the housing. What? They're the spies. Okay, so it's the spies, so they're supposed to keep national. No, they spy after the tenants and they try to do human trafficking. Okay, that's not good for a person to go out of the mental health system to go to such things, so we must rebel that. For where they're starting, MP Ultra. Okay, so let's rebel that. That's what Uranus, okay, basically does. But the intention for Uranus is to liberate. Remember, I looked at the Sinwar chart and I'm like, it's not a Palestinian. He was not a freedom fighter. He was a human trafficker. That was all it was about. And he very likely wanted to die for a very long time. It was some sort of an Epstein that they wanted to have in Palestine. So of course he will be dead. But why they killed him is not why he's dead. Okay? And then you have to make sure that you wouldn't make this of the area. Then you rebel even more. Okay? And whenever people try to control Uranus, this is where it gets outside the frame. This is where it becomes even more rebellious. If you try to control Uranus, it becomes even more rebellious. And the way Uranus rebels is like, hey, a vacation is better in Taurus. Okay, a vacation would be better. But if your vacation is not a vacation, it's like, of course it is not a vacation because people work hard here. Let's have a cabin in the woods. Okay? And if cabin in the woods is built from trees and trees don't like it, it's like, okay, let's build a cabin in the woods, not from woods, but around woods. Okay, so it's basically very accommodating, but you don't want to suppress this. You want to be open to change.
סליחה רגע, זה שלך?